This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen Gipp, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news.
U.S. tariffs have been a hot topic lately, stirring up debates about their effect on countries' trades and economies. They've caused a global ripple effect, impacting industries, businesses, and even how people shop. Some are taking a stand by boycotting American products, making their own bold statements against these policies.
U.S. tariffs on imports are causing significant challenges for countries like Australia and New Zealand, particularly in industries such as steel, wine, and meat. While some governments, including Canada, Mexico, and the European Union, are responding with retaliatory tariffs, others, like Australia, are choosing not to take action. Meanwhile, individuals are taking their own stand. For instance, after the U.S. announced a 25% tariff hike, Canadians weren't thrilled, to say the least. The tariffs have led to many Canadians to boycott products, opting instead for pricier Canadian or non-U.S. goods. Canadian businesses are responding by promoting Made in Canada goods, tapping into the growing interest in buying local. Social media has amplified this movement with widespread support for Canadian-made products and praise for businesses emphasizing local options.
When she goes shopping, Hélène Dumas now has one rule: avoid buying American.
That's from Quebec.
The reason? Donald Trump's trade war against Canada, the U.S.'s second biggest trading partner.
It's the small ways we can protest as consumers. A lot of people are trying to express their anger, their feeling of betrayal by the United States.
Beyond the shopping basket, the boycott is being followed by an entire distribution chain.
Here we have a display just for Quebec, and we're putting more emphasis on that. Then we have products with the Canadian logo. Our warehouse shifted gears very quickly, looking for regional products from Canada and also from other countries outside the United States.
To help consumers, newspaper articles, social media groups, and now apps are listing local products. But it's often difficult to hit the American wallet without also impacting the Canadian economy.
We have companies that are 100% American, but with factories in Canada using Canadian workers and Canadian ingredients. In such cases, it can be hard for a consumer to know whether or not we are succeeding in hurting the Americans.
Faced with the Goliath over the border, Canada is now looking inwards. The removal of customs barriers between its territories and provinces will bring prices down by 15% and increase productivity by 7%, according to the government.
Canadians are also pushing back against tariffs hitting their economy by canceling trips to the U.S., and it's already affecting air and land travel. This backlash could end up costing the U.S. $2.1 billion and around 14,000 jobs, according to the U.S. Travel Association. The frustration doesn't stop there. Protests have erupted across Canada at U.S. consulates, with people speaking out against the tariffs on Canadian goods. In cities like Toronto, Ottawa, and Vancouver, demonstrators gathered with signs, flags, and passionate speeches, urging Canada to hold its ground against U.S. trade policies. The protests, organized online, highlight growing anger as Canadians feel the ripple effects of these trade disputes on their industries and economy.
Respect, 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 respect.
A passionate plea motivated by patriotism. Hundreds of Canadians lining Windsor's riverfront facing the Detroit skyline.
Trump is not making America great. He's making America hate. We love Americans. Dump Trump.
It's a message not just about politics, however, but about relationships. Many here say they admire their American neighbors, but they're frustrated by the man leading them.
It's not the American people that we have trouble with, it's Mr. Trump. So We just want to show the Americans that we're as patriotic as they are, and we love you as much as you love us, and let's get this nonsense over with.
For months, tensions between Canada and the U.S. have been growing, driven by President Donald Trump's threats of tariffs and even his suggestion that Canada should become America's 51st state. That's pushed some Canadians to quietly cut back on cross-border trips, a subtle form of protest by keeping their dollars at home. This reaction, however, much louder.
Other than our buying power and not traveling to the States, how much can we do? So being able to come down here really makes us feel like we're doing something.
Ironically, this cross-border protest was not started by anyone in Windsor, but by a Michigan resident, someone who believes the Canada-U.S. border should not divide people, it should connect them.
We thought that, coming together was a strong message to send to show the White House that we really want to go back to what things used to be.
U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum imports imposed on March 12th are already hitting Canada hard, with hundreds of workers losing their jobs, according to unions and companies. Economists warn this is just the beginning, as the tariffs are expected to create even more economic challenges in the coming weeks. Some companies have already announced layoffs, hiring freezes, and work share arrangements to cope with the impact. Many workers are facing uncertainty about their jobs, and there are calls for better support, like employment insurance and skills training to help those affected. Canada's Prime Minister announced measures to give people earlier access to employment insurance. The government also introduced a multi-billion-dollar aid program for businesses and a work-sharing program to support employees with reduced hours. Advocates are calling for more changes, such as making employment insurance easier to access and increasing weekly payments.
Iveco, the industrial pride of Eastern Ontario, announcing layoffs in the wake of 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum.
There's a lot of worriness, obviously, on the shop floor, and the people are concerned.
According to the union, a combination of permanent and temporary layoffs will affect 150 workers. That's about 30% of the workforce of the factory in the small village of Lorignal. And people here are well aware this could be just the beginning.
The tariffs change daily with the Trump administration, so it's quite difficult to make plans around that kind of hostility.
It's a serious blow to a community where most people earn a living at the steel plant or have a close connection to someone who does.
They're one of the biggest employers. Iveco also helps the other companies surrounding Iveco.
Those deep-rooted connections mean the impacts will be felt beyond the factory walls.
There's a lot of truckers who depend on that place, a lot of restaurants, all that stuff. It's a downward effect.
It's awful because the village is living with that.
Then there's also the fear that what's happening here may be a sign of what's to come for the rest of the country.
The ripple effects of U.S. tariffs are being felt far and wide, with no quick fix in sight. From job losses to canceled vacations, people and businesses are finding ways to push back and adapt. While the road ahead might be bumpy, the long-term consequences remain to be seen.
Soaring Eagle Support Society in northwest Alberta provides a safe space for those facing housing challenges, trauma, and lack of support. UNN Field Messenger Tanis interviews the executive director to discuss their mission and impact.
Hello everyone, this is Tanis, Field Messenger for United Network News here in Northwest Alberta, Canada. This here is the building where all the magic happens for people in our community who is struggling to find a home or a safe space to heal and to get through all that's going on in their lives. This place is called Soaring Eagle Support Society. It's where Cindy and others work and volunteer. What used to be a motel is now a safe space for many to get a new lease on life.
My name is Cindy Gurney, and currently I am the executive director of the agency.
Awesome. How long have you been there?
So I've been in this role for 1.5 years, but I was a volunteer 2 years prior. Even as a drop-in center 3 years ago, I was a volunteer then.
Oh, nice. So in a brief overview of what the intentions are here, of what Soaring Eagle does.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So really we want to help people who are hurting, people who are hungry, people who are without support. I think the biggest thing about having housing problems is that you don't have somebody with you, like in your back corner. Like you lack support, you lack that adult child, or you lack parents or siblings that are able to reach out and care for you. Maybe because bridges have been burned, maybe they're out there, or maybe there's just been a lot of trauma in your family background. Those are the common themes with the residents that we're serving, and we want to just help.
And how many people do you think you guys have assisted over the years to get back on their feet?
So not everyone ends up transitioning to a great situation where they're fully independent, but they have improved their lives. They've been given opportunity to have greater success in what their challenges are, to improve it, or to resolve some of the challenges that they're facing.
Is there any special plans or anything else we should be aware of in the near future for the Soaring Eagle?
It's just natural, really good cause and effect that can happen when you give people that opportunity. So we call it a small village, and I think that can be replicated, and that's the big dream, is that there'll be other places in rural Alberta, rural Canada, that will have these kind of places for people to go and get help.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
It does take a village, doesn't it?
It does.
It does.
It does.
And thank you so much, Cindy, for allowing me to interview you and get the message out to the world.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Terry Stahl, and I live at Soaring Eagle. Soaring Eagle supports are awesome. I would highly recommend you guys donate, and just beware, we've had a lot of people come in and out, and they are lovely. This place is the best thing that you guys could ever have. They give you meals, they give you lots of stuff, they give you support, and I just want you guys to know that Soaring Eagle Support System is very good. I have no problem with them. They are awesome people. Taylor's good, Judy's good, Dennis is good.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy's awesome. She's hands down, she's really great. And I just want to thank Eagle Support Network for homing me here, and they're doing great. And keep up the good work. Awesome work, Soaring Eagle.
Thank you for watching.
When we think about environmental dangers, we often picture oil spills, factory pollution, or deforestation. But there's another serious threat that's easy to overlook, because it's literally underground. Abandoned oil and gas wells left behind from past drilling booms aren't just forgotten relics. They're a growing risk to both the environment and public health.
There are an estimated 3 million abandoned oil and gas wells in the United States alone, with hundreds of thousands classified as orphaned, meaning they have no known responsible owner. These wells are often left behind when a company goes bankrupt or when they stop making money. Many of these wells date back to the 19th and early 20th centuries, when regulations were lax or non-existent. Without proper plugging and monitoring, they continue to leak harmful substances into the environment. The lack of accountability is a huge problem. Large oil companies are in the spotlight more and typically held responsible for plugging their wells. But many of these smaller wells were owned by smaller operators who are long gone. That leaves the cleanup costs and the risks on the public. And these wells aren't just in remote oil fields. They're everywhere. You can find them in forests, farmland, backyards, and even under city streets. They might not look like much, sometimes just an old pipe sticking out of the ground or a patch of disturbed soil, but they can leak methane, a potent combustible greenhouse gas.
Oh, well, this is very obviously a well. That's right there. This one clearly has not been, filled with anything. It's still got the intact wellhead. So this well was just at some point the operator decided it was no longer economically feasible to keep operating it, and they could just walk away without changing it at all, really. Well, let's see if it's leaking. Try to focus a little better. So the infrared camera helps us. We get a nice picture, an image, that we can visually see the leak. Very obvious leak. Wow, definitely. You could see it looks like smoke coming out. So, I mean, it could be a big leak of methane. I would guess this one is a super emitter, which basically means it's emitting at a much higher rate than a typical well. Let's measure now. Oh, wow. That one's really high.
Fixing an abandoned oil and gas well isn't a simple task. The first challenge is sometimes tracking down the well. Then it's inspected to determine the best way to seal it. Typically, cement is pumped in layers to create a strong barrier to prevent leaks. A surface cap is added to lock everything in place. And then the site should be monitored regularly to ensure it stays sealed, which rarely happens. It can cost anywhere between $10,000 to $50,000 to seal off an older well, and as much as $300,000 to seal off a new one. That's a lot of money. In the U.S., states can get federal funding to clean up abandoned oil and gas wells through programs like the Abandoned Mine Land Program, which now covers oil and gas wells. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act from 2021 also set aside $4.7 billion for this effort, with states able to apply for their share based on how many abandoned wells they have. For example, in March 2025, Pennsylvania celebrated plugging its 300th orphaned or abandoned well in just 2 years using federal funds. It's a solid start. But the state's Department of Environmental Protection has flagged 27,000 wells that need urgent attention. Meanwhile, in the heart of America, the Texas Railroad Commission, which oversees oil and gas operations, has its own orphan well program to track down and plug these wells.
Well, the well was permitted in 2008, was drilled in 2009, and the operator filed bankruptcy in 2010, unfortunately, before he ever had a chance to put the well online and produce it. So the well became abandoned. We took the operator on a series of other leases, was worked through our legal enforcement process, and once they've been all the way through the process and given their day in court, then the well comes back to the state to plug it with state funds. Funds that are furnished by the industry. We use the industry's money to do this, and that's where we are now. The well has been cited as one that needs to be plugged. It's been prioritized, and today we're out here with our contractor plugging it. Each well is prioritized based on a series of, I think, 30 or 40 different factors that we look at. One of the main things we're concerned with always is the protection of usable quality water. We want to make sure that there's no chance for a well to leak and contaminate any of the water resources in the state. This one will probably take about 2 days, because it's going to be a fairly easy job once we've drilled through. Then what we'll do is we'll run steel tubing inside the well, and we'll load the well bore with drilling mud all the way from bottom to top. Then we'll pump cement down the tubing, which displaces the mud out the production casing, so we can be sure that the cement's going where it's supposed to go. We'll spot approximately a 100-foot plug to cover any open perforations or towards the TD of the well. Then we'll come up and we'll do the same thing at different levels, depending on what the rule requires and what our district circumstances are. It's an ongoing process. The Railroad Commission plugs several hundred wells every year.
While methane leaks are the biggest concern with these abandoned wells, they can also leak other toxic chemicals and heavy metals into the soil and groundwater, posing risks to both wildlife and humans. In some cases, the leaking gases can even cause air pollution or explosion hazards, especially in populated areas. For communities near these wells, the long-term impact on water quality and local ecosystems can be devastating. In November 2024, Los Angeles in California reached a $60 million settlement with residents after a toxic methane gas leak from the local power plant made more than 1,200 people sick between 2017 and 2020. People experienced headaches, dizziness, and nausea. Even though the city knew about the leak early on, they didn't let the community know until years later.
Like a year, 2 years after we moved here, I started smelling gas every time I came outside to do something to work on the yard.
Sun Valley resident Letitia Tashian says it was in 2015 she started feeling sick, getting bad headaches.
I kept telling my husband, I smell gas.
Turns out it wasn't her imagination, and it wasn't just her. Letitia lives right near LA Department of Water and Power's Sun Valley Generating Station. Sometime in 2015, the plant began leaking gas from the pumps.
It wasn't until I became part of the neighborhood council. And I did that for a whole year, and I met a lady that was having the same problem.
Several years later, in 2020, people started connecting the dots. Attorney Jason Fowler says it was a JPL staff member who discovered the leak and plumes of gas. Several newspaper articles later.
As a result of that, people started to ask questions and connect it, saying, hey, that's the smell that I have. And as more and more people contacted our office complaining of the same thing, we were able to investigate more and bring this lawsuit.
The firm discovered 1,200 people between Sun Valley and Pacoima who had become sick. According to the complaint, residents in the predominantly Black and Latino communities were exposed to toxic fumes for years and didn't know about it.
Abandoned oil and gas wells might not always grab the headlines, but their health and environmental impact is huge, which is why we need to address this issue more than ever. Researchers say it's tough to get an accurate picture of global emissions from these leaky wells without better data. But a rough estimate based on the U.S.'s share of global oil and gas production suggests there are more than 29 million abandoned wells worldwide. The actual number could be up to 3 times higher, according to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
Hi everyone, this is Leanne.
And I'm Jerry.
Coming to you from Tamworth, New South Wales.
Hi there, this is Rick from Arizona.
My name is Uchechukwu Owenebam from Igbo tribe, Nigeria.
Hi, this is Scott from Utah.
I'm Annette from Agassiz, British Columbia.
Hi, I'm Marcus Surzet from Manipur State, India.
Real people reporting real stories from all around the world. That's what United Network News is all about.
Can you clap?
We had a huge flood, which some call the flood of the century.
No fake news here. Our field messengers share personal experiences of what's really happening in their community.
We got some nice fish out here.
At UNN, you are the news.
My family and I had a very good time.
Take the next step. Become a UNN field messenger and share the real news with the world.
In the northwest province of South Africa, I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News, and if it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's going to be, it's up to me. If it is going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to us. Field Messages, United Network News. See you next time.
Step into a world of possibilities with New Earth, a groundbreaking series that shines light on holistic ways to live, work, and thrive. Join us weekly to discover new innovative ideas and explore the world around us as we, together, create our future, our New Earth.
Isn't it amazing how mobile internet has changed our lives? Whether you're scrolling through social media on the subway or video chatting with your best friend from a mountain, staying connected has never been easier. But when it comes to worldwide data rates, costs are all over the place. It makes you wonder, why is this happening on the same planet?
We asked our viewers about mobile data costs in their areas, and the responses showed big price differences depending on where they live. Here's a quick look at what people pay for data around the world. Austria offers unlimited data for just $32. While in Michigan, in the U.S., unlimited will set you back $83. On the pricier side, the state of Vermont in the U.S. charges $44 for only 3 gigabytes. But in South Africa, you can get 2 gigs for just $8. Feel free to pause the video if you want to take a closer look. So why the massive price differences? It all comes down to infrastructure, regulations, and market competition. According to Statista, countries like Israel, where 1 gigabyte costs just 2 cents, leads the pack, thanks to strong networks and a competitive market. Fiji, Italy, and nations like India and France are keeping prices low with expanding fiber optic networks and healthy competition. On the other hand, some countries face sky-high prices. In Zimbabwe, 1 gigabyte costs more than $40 due to inflation and poor infrastructure. Remote areas like the Falkland Islands, St. Helena, and parts of Africa and South America also struggle with expensive plans, driven by small populations, geographic isolation, and limited resources. In places like South Sudan and Turkmenistan, monopolies and political instability keep internet access out of reach for many people.
In terms of mobile data costs, we're seeing that in Africa, the average African is spending about 6% of their monthly income on mobile data compared to 2% globally. So these facts point to this, these infrastructure gaps. And that is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity as well for investors to come in and support infrastructure development in the region.
When it comes to mobile data, figuring out how much you need versus how much it costs can feel like a balancing act. The amount of data you require often depends on your daily habits. Are you streaming shows or music all the time? Or maybe just scrolling through social media and checking emails? The more you stream or game, the more data you'll need. Simple as that. However, higher data plans usually come at a higher price tag. Many providers offer flexible options, so you can usually find a plan that matches your usage without breaking the bank. Also, it's worth keeping an eye on your habits. Wi-Fi at home or work can help save data, so you might not need as much as you think. Just take a quick look at your past usage and match it to a plan that makes sense for your lifestyle.
How many megabytes does it take to upload a TikTok or listen to a podcast? If you're like most people, you have no idea. And yet, when you go to buy a cell phone, most people end up going with what seems like the safest option, unlimited data. But before you make that call, here's a few things you should know about unlimited plans.
First, they're not actually unlimited. They usually still have a data cap, and once you go over that, your speed will slow way down. Second, you probably don't need that much data anyway. According to one 2021 study, the average usage by unlimited data customers was only 12 gigabytes per month, way below the average data cap.
After all, you only use data when you're not connected to a Wi-Fi network. And Wi-Fi is everywhere. It's like paying for 100 gallons of gas up front every month, even though you only use 15. And you don't get credit for the gas you didn't use. It goes right back to the oil company.
What happens to mobile data when you travel abroad? Roaming costs can be a headache. These are extra charges for using your phone on a local network instead of your home provider. Your phone connects to a local operator, and that service comes with added fees. Many people end up turning off their phones altogether to avoid the stress, which honestly defeats the whole point of staying connected while away. To avoid surprises, check roaming costs before your trip, activate travel packages or options, and use Wi-Fi whenever possible.
Brexit might be costing you hundreds on your mobile plan without you even knowing it. See, once the UK left the European Union, UK-based mobile providers lost access to universal roaming, protected by EU laws, in 27 countries in the EU and the EEA, which meant anyone from the UK who was used to being able to use their phone as usual abroad suddenly got hit with massive roaming fees. Now, there have been some laws passed by Parliament protecting UK residents, like making mobile providers have to notify users if they use 80 to 100% of their roaming data data, or limiting international roaming fees to £45 unless users manually opt in. But that doesn't really fix the problem. Roaming fees are the new normal for the foreseeable future. That's why it's so important to get a local eSIM plan whenever you go on holiday. You can buy super affordable plans that usually cost less per week than most providers charge daily. You just download the eSIM app, look up the country you're visiting, pick your plan, and your phone's automatically connected to their local network.
Affordable mobile plans and data rates give more people access to smartphones and the internet, unlocking new opportunities. Businesses could reach larger audiences. Students can learn online, and families could stay connected anywhere. On the economic side, lower mobile rates drive innovation, create jobs, and boost industries like e-commerce, education, and financial services. Affordable pricing helps underserved communities connect to the global economy and thrive.
Joe's Addiction Cafe in Oklahoma City offers support for those facing life's challenges. It's a place to share struggles and joys, showcasing the power of unity. UNN Field Messengers Manette and Anne introduce this inspiring space.
Hi, I'm Anne. I'm Minette. And we're field messengers for UNN in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, USA. And if it's going to be, it's up to me.
This is Jamie Zumo. She runs Joe's Addiction Cafe here in Oklahoma City, and I'm going to let her tell you about her ministry here.
All right, so how this came about, we've been doing this for 17 years now, and at the very beginning we just opened up a tiny little coffee shop in a neighborhood here in Oklahoma City that has a lot of need. So every Sunday we do a gathering in here where we talk about those two things. How do we love each other? How do we practice nonviolence? So we eat together. That's a really high value that I have. That feels to me like the kingdom of God, you know?
Yes.
We're hanging out, we're in community, we're eating together and celebrating life together. And then we now have a shower where people can take a shower. We need lots more showers, but one is better than what we had before.
Absolutely.
We do laundry. We have 3 washers and 3 dryers. And
now tell people how you serve.
Feels like a restaurant, and they're restaurant quality meals.
Yes.
We get a lot of food that is donated to us, but then we also purchase food to fill out the meals, and we serve them on real plates and real silverware. During our lunchtime, we have a ritual that we do at the beginning of lunch where we talk about what we're grateful for. Yeah, so we have free coffee that's available to anyone who can't pay for it, but we also are a full-service coffee shop. You know, people who are struggling financially, they might pay $1 for a drink, but then we have people who come in for coffees and they buy a latte for $40, you know, to help cover the cost of what we're doing here. So that's part of how we bring in the income to support that. There really is the desire is for hospitality.
Yes.
You know, that there would be a place where people feel welcomed, you know, to come in and hang out. And then we try to treat each other that way, not just the new guests that come.
The beauty of the Austrian mountains in winter is a breathtaking display that captivates visitors from all around the world. UNN Field Messengers Florian takes us on a ski tour through the majestic Alps.
Hello, this is Florian, a field messenger from Austria. This winter, snow came in quite early. So today you have an amazing mountain view, some nice snow in a valley in Vorarlberg, the most western part of Austria. I take you to a tour up on the right side where the sun and the shadow are merging at the moment. And at the moment, as you see, I'm on the way with touring skis. And I will go up there and you'll see some more of this amazing mountain view. So now we are at the mountain top. This is Hohe Matona. And over there, the mountain range with the snow on the top is behind the Rhine Valley. So in the valley there is the river Rhine, which divides Austria from Swiss. And the mountains over there are Swiss mountains. Then back there you see some fog in the valley. There it's quite flat, the valley. Then the next mountaintop, it's called Hoher Freschen, really nice one as well. And on the right side you see, in the valley you see the Lake Constance. This lake has one part in Austria, one part in Germany and one part in Swiss. So behind the Lake Constance there is Germany. Over here you got more into the direction of Tyrol and have lots of nice mountains. So the descent was quite nice. I hope this view let your hearts jump as well. And always remember and be conscious about that the feelings within you are the key for being a co-creator by yourself. Bye bye.
Are you ready to change the world? Take the next step and join our weekly Field Messenger meetings. Learn more at unitednetwork.earth. I am United Network News, and so are you.